Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. Things are getting very serious. Canadian prime ministers have headed to Florida for talks with the incoming Trump administration. Trump is moving one step closer to making Canada the 51st state. Not only that, Shark Tank's Shark Tank's star Kevin Oleary says that half of Canadians favor Trump's proposal for Canada to join the U.S. And with this would be the largest land acquisition that the United States has ever made. This is big, big news, everybody. Trump says that he wants to make Canada great again. We have leaked news that with these incoming Canadian prime ministers, they're wanting to oust Justin Trudeau, their current prime minister, head prime minister, and possibly put somebody else in. But they're coming to discuss the possible unification of the two countries, the border wall, the tariffs. And now that Trump has said that if Canada becomes a part of the United States, that they would promise 60% tax cuts to Canadians, which is very appealing to the Canadians because they do have higher taxes. We also have it where, thank God, the Attorney General, Ken Paxton of Texas, has blocked Biden from selling any more of the border wall, stating this is an illegal act as well as treasonous against the American people and America itself, that he will be seeking to prosecute Biden for the blatant act. This is breaking news, blowing up X right now. And all I have to say is finally, we are finding out more leaks that Biden, Chuck Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries are working behind the scenes to Trump-proof the White House and the government agencies that Trump has vowed to go after and to dismantle. This is, again, the Democrats protecting the deep state instead of allowing transparency to the American people to show us what they have done. And now we have Democrats who are now stating that the mass deportations are going to hurt the economy, even though we have millions of Americans that need jobs that migrants actually have. Over the past year, the jobs report revealed that there was a net loss of over 800,000 native U.S. citizen-born workers in the economy and a net gain of 1.3 million jobs for immigrants. So we have a ton of breaking news. Just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's free, and we're here to serve you. Thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And if you don't mind clicking the thumbs up like button, it really does help to grow the channel and really blesses us here as we serve you. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are eternally grateful. And also, in this month, we're going to be donating to a place called Tupelo Mansion. And so in the month of January, we're going to be donating to this group home that helps kids that don't have a home. But with that, we got some breaking news because these prime ministers that are meeting with Trump, we have some leaked news over how those conversations went. Check this out.
To avoid tariffs, the Canadian proposed a $1.3 billion package to secure their border. They're ending temporary processing for some visas at their border stations and reassigning those personnel to patrol the border. It's an election year in Canada. What would tariffs do to the Canadian economy?
It would be a recession for the Canadian economy, no question. They rely heavily on the United States for roughly 80% of their exports. Those tariffs would really hurt the sales into the U.S. And so they're going to try to avoid that. And, one of the things they can do is put more resources on the border. They put more drones out there, put more bodies out there, try to intercept the flow of fentanyl, especially some illegal immigration, not nearly the southern border. But that's one way to think about this, just sort of a rifle shot. But I think the right way to think about this is it is very common for trade deals to have sidebars on labor standards, sidebars on environmental standards. And I think the president-elect is setting up to have a sidebar on border standards and do it with both Mexico and Canada in the context of renegotiating the trade agreement in 2026. It's coming. Right. And this is just the opening salvo in that negotiation. Let's have a permanent fix to this border issue.
And he seems like he's getting some action as of right now, though. So both sides, there's an incentive there for both sides because a 25% tariff on Canadian goods coming into the U.S. would affect our economy, too. How would it affect prices in the U.S.?
They would have to go north. And perhaps not dramatically right away, but Nobody wants higher prices. We've been through a period of just untenable inflation. The Fed hasn't got the genie entirely back in the bottle, doesn't want to see it get more legs. It's already been more stubborn than they expected, and those tariffs would in fact make their life much, much harder.
I want to turn to the president-elect's agenda here. He has an aggressive agenda to undo everything that he thinks President Biden had messed up. The president-elect, he's not in office yet, but he's moving still very quickly. Should the tax cuts be done with a border bill in one big package, do you think, or should tax cuts come first?
I leave that to the legislative experts. I mean, this is really a matter. If you got to get 218 and 50 in the Senate, and how you get to yes is the matter of just counting votes. I think that's going to drive things, not grand economic strategy.
How important are their tax cuts for the U.S. economy?
So let's remember, there's no tax cut by just extending the 2017 bill. That's avoiding a $5 trillion tax increase. That's really important. That's avoiding a recession for us. So that has to happen. Anything on top of that is a bonus. And the border, lots of ways to get that done. We're seeing that right now.
So, wrapped into all of this is electing a new House Speaker in January. I want you to listen to this real quick.
Guys, this is super important.
Before the last couple of weeks, I was, in his corner, but now I'm, we should consider what's the best path forward. And again, we reconvene on January 3rd. We obviously have a lot of important things to do in January, but we do need to consider whether, if we're going to advance Mr. Trump's agenda, whether the current leadership is what we need.
Mike has done an admirable job under tough conditions, but I'm going to keep my options open. I want to have a conversation with Mike. I don't know where this is going right now, but with Thomas Massie already saying he's a hard no, people like Victoria Sparks saying that they're likely a no, that's concerning, and we just got to make sure that we get the best person for the job.
So you can't get from a yes to a no without a maybe, and it seems like we're seeing a lot of maybes here. Representative Andy Harris yesterday on this program, he said, and he's the head of the Freedom Caucus, so he has some votes that are with him. Could this sow chaos again in the House and affect the agenda to get those tax cuts passed?
No question. We've seen this movie before. The potential for this to drag out for a week or so early in January sets back the schedule and everything. But I think this kind of reasoning really misses the larger point. At the moment, they have a 1-vote margin. They'll get a best of 3-vote margin. And it doesn't matter who the speaker is. With margins that thin, you're going to have trouble getting to Republicans carrying bills. So they're going to have to accept the fact that there will be bills they need Democratic votes on. Let's identify those bills, have a different strategy for them than for core parts of the Republican agenda.
Are you concerned that...
Guys, and the thing about it is as Trump continues to move forward with his agenda, and now that he's met with Canadian prime ministers in Florida at Mar-a-Lago, talking about what they're going to do with the tariffs, the incoming border security, incoming of what's going to happen, because Trump says that it's an absolute necessity that we gain control of not only just Canada, Greenland, and also the Panama Canal. You have one of the biggest Canadian entrepreneurs, Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary, who says that, yes, there is more than half of Canadians that want to become Americans and want to be a part of the United States. Now, this is insane because this would really mark Trump as one of the greatest presidents ever if this was to get done. Check this out.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Trump just said Merry Christmas as well, and look what he said. He said Governor Justin Trudeau of Canada, whose citizens are taxed too high, but if Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%. Sounds pretty good.
Does sound pretty good. America's neighbors to the north are hopping on the MAGA train. I've heard they call themselves Maple MAGAs.
Make Canada
Some
great
Canadians
again.
Jumping at President-elect Trump's offer of huge tax cuts if they become the 51st state. We shall see. Kevin Oleary, chairman of Oleary Ventures, Mr. Wonderful, joins us now. Kevin, you are a man from the north. This is your native land. What are you hearing? Is this for real? What are you hearing from people up there?
More than half of Canadians, there's 41 million of them, want to know more, want to understand what the proposal really is, because the concept of an economic union has been bandied around for 40 years. And it makes sense because the resources Canada have, the U.S. needs, particularly power and water. But there's something else. We've been talking about the border between Canada and the United States. That's not the problem. The Pentagon is worried and has been for decades about the northern border where China and the USSR are. And we had NORAD decades ago, but China was a nothing burger back then. Now they're a serious problem. And I think in this kernel of an idea, and yes, maybe it was a joke to start, there is something great here to be done, because if you figured out a way to put these two countries together, it would be the most powerful country on earth, the most powerful military on earth, the most powerful in resources. And no adversary anywhere would mess with it. That's the prize.
Yeah. Let's start with this idea that this is just the beginning of negotiations. People are talking about it. I want to just throw up a survey. They actually polled Canadians about this already. And this is what Canadians said about becoming the 51st state. 13% said yes, so there is a crowd there. 82% said no. But Kevin, what you're saying is maybe it doesn't have to be about taking the land. Maybe you can broker some kind of an economic union. That's what you want to help do, right?
Yeah, that poll is irrelevant. The opportunity is combining strengths. You don't have to sell the country. You don't have to even merge it. But you can create a union where you put together the things that matter: a common currency, a common passport, free-flowing trade across the border, particularly in energy. And think about what that means. Right now, the U.S. grid is tapped out. You can't find a gigawatt of electrical power. There's unlimited power in Canada. And even Eric Schmidt said that at Google, because they're concerned about building data centers. All of these opportunities exist. Now, unfortunately for Trump, these ministers are going down to talk to him in Mar-a-Lago, are going to get wiped out in 90 days in a national election. Trudeau is immensely unpopular, and Canadians cannot wait to get rid of him. So this may have to wait from an official standpoint, but many Canadians are interested in understanding more about how we could push this idea forward, and I'm one of them. I think this is a great idea, and I think the potential is massive, and the opportunity is huge. And I think at the end of the day, Canadians and Americans, their DNA is the same in terms of what they believe in: freedom. They fought in multiple wars together. I say let's make this happen one way or another and end up the strongest entity on earth. I'm worried about China. I really am. I think we're in the beginning of a long economic war. And if we're stronger and protecting the northern border and really making it hell for them around the world with our philosophy of freedom and commerce and strength, that's a good thing.
Are you going down to Mar-a-Lago?
I'd love to go down to Mar-a-Lago. You know, I'm obviously interested in it because I do business on both sides of the border. And I'm going to the inauguration. I'm excited about it. I have a lot of projects in both countries. I work with senators and governors, and I walk the aisles of the Hill all the time, as I do in Ottawa. You can't do business anymore unless you're working with leadership in both countries. So I'm a big advocate of figuring out how to get this thing together.
Well, if you
guys, I love it because, again, too, whatever happens, Trump is focusing on doing as much as possible that can be done to make America the greatest country ever. Because, again, too, there's a whole point behind MAGA, Make America Great Again, getting to that point. And this is what I love, too, because we just had this breaking news just an hour ago. The Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton just blocked the Biden regime from auctioning off any more border wall materials before President Trump takes office. So you can see this is where they're holding it out. There's a lot of border wall that needs to be put up. But these are the words of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. We will hold his administration accountable for illegally subverting our nation's border security until their very last day in power, especially where their actions are clearly motivated by desire to thwart President-elect Trump's immigration agenda. Guys, I could not be more happier to see the people that are trying to sell off this border wall be actually prosecuted for these illegal actions of not protecting the United States. Because right now, we know that there is a resistance with the Democrats right now. You can't make this stuff up. It is literally, we're seeing this right before our eyes, but yet what I love is that Trump's team is already fighting it. Check this out.
Familiar with the Democrats' resistance movement after the 2016 election, organizing marches, wailing about the end of democracy, and pledging early and often to impeach Trump. But now they're taking a different approach. The resistance is going underground. Biden and his pals are working overtime behind the scenes to Trump-proof the presidency.
What he's trying to do is trying to corner Donald Trump and sort of box him in so he can do. I think the Biden administration and the president is trying to prevent Donald Trump from doing as much damage as he possibly could do, which he could do a lot of becoming president. I think Joe Biden is trying to box Donald Trump in as much as he can. It's limited, but I think that's what his goal is.
We saw evidence of this soon after the election. Biden's senior climate official, John Podesta, pledged to keep the spigot open and flood our economy with more spending on climate boondoggles.
My team back in Washington is hard at work ensuring that we solidify the investments that is likely to be one of the best protections for the economic incentives that were included in the Inflation Reduction Act.
This is all designed to keep these climate schemes embedded in government for as long as possible. The same with Ukraine. Biden is rushing to get aid out the door before Trump cuts them off. The administration just announced another $1.25 billion for Ukraine.
Guys, I hate to interrupt, but yes, today, another $1.25 billion of taxpayer money to this endless forever war that Russia already said that they want a peace deal. But yeah, Biden doesn't care. This is literally a slap in the face to every American who pays taxes that they don't care. They want to get as much money out as possible.
And Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has his own plan to stop Trump. Pack and use the courts.
He really does believe that the judiciary, they kind of helped to mold and create. He talked about a fourth of the judges on the bench will be Joe Biden judges, which is quite a few people, that will be kind of the tip of the spear of the resistance against Donald Trump for Democrats.
Thanks to Schumer's last-minute shenanigans, Biden has appointed more federal judges than any single-term president since Jimmy Carter. The Democrats' goal? Prevent Trump from repealing Biden's disastrous policies and enacting an agenda the voters actually want.
In Chuck Schumer's eyes, and I think in a lot of Democrats' eyes, they won't have a lot of power. A lot of their fight will be rhetorical. And so the judiciary and the people that are already in place or will be in place very soon are the folks who can defend not just the legislative accomplishments of the Biden administration, but also protect the other things, like the myriad other things that Democrats have been saying they want to protect for years now.
And if that doesn't work, Democrats will cobble together their coalition to block any legislation that could benefit the American people.
Hakeem Jeffries' ability to create problems for the Trump agenda by keeping the Democratic caucus unified and trying to peel off a few Republican votes, may say a lot about how much of this Trump agenda actually gets done. In the Senate, of course, there are more than enough Senate Democrats to use the filibuster to block legislation.
Once again, the so-called defenders of democracy are exposed as frauds. The American people resoundingly rejected the Biden-Schumer agenda. But rather than work with Trump to enact common-sense legislation that will restore America's greatness, the Democrats are still falling back on their old, tired playbook. Resist. Joining me now, Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. Congresswoman, I want to start with this because, we had horrific hurricanes, natural disasters in Hawaii. You had, the people of Lahaina, you still feel for them. You saw what happened with the devastation with the hurricanes. But now they announced they're spending another $1.25 billion and sending it to Ukraine. What are your thoughts?
Jason, it just goes to show how tone deaf this administration is. I was one of the impacted communities here in Pinellas County. We had 13 people die. And when the American people and when Pinellas County residents found out that our own FEMA dollars weren't just going, to illegal immigrants, but then they're finding out that this administration wanted to even just recently pass in the CR funding to go to Egypt, to Ukraine, and every other country but America. I just think that it goes to show that they aren't in touch. They aren't working on behalf of the American people. And frankly, Jason, it's insulting as an American that we pay so much in taxes, and this is what they're choosing to do with it.
Congresswoman, Sam Stein of The Bulwark had a theory about Biden's last moves on the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Have a look at this. I want to get your reaction.
The outgoing Biden administration pumping weapons into Ukraine and also weighing the possibility of additional energy sanctions to weaken Russia further. Trump could undo all this, of course, but that would be a fairly politically precarious step to take right out of the gate.
What are your thoughts on what he just said there?
You know, I will say first and foremost, and you would know this of all people being on oversight, that we actually saw direct evidence that the Biden family was actually profiteering from Ukraine, money going into their bank accounts, and then you see what they're doing on their last-ditch effort on the way out. The fact is that for months we've been hearing from our friends in the Senate that the Biden administration was trying to run the traps to prevent President Trump from having an aggressive foreign policy that would pursue peace, especially in that region. But again, I think that one of the things that the American people have to remember is even though there are going to be obstructionist bureaucrats in Washington, that President Trump in this incoming administration is absolutely going to be the correct people in ahead of these departments to flush out all of the people that would be obstructionists. And frankly, if they don't want to play ball, they're fired.
Yes.
Yeah, the oversight of that is going to be massive, and it needs to be across the board. Now, Politico did a recent analysis of Biden's biggest expenditures and found that Congress provided, get this, $1.1 trillion. $1.1 trillion for Biden's biggest climate, clean energy, and infrastructure programs. More than half of that spending, at least $561 billion, has yet to be obligated and not yet available for agencies to spend. This seems like a huge opportunity to claw back literally hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yes, and it's an opportunity that Congress needs to take, especially being that we have not just the House, but the Senate and now the White House. You know, there's something that we have in our legislative toolkit called rescissions where we can do that. But also, too, you know, one of the first big tests, Jason, for the Republican majority is going to be during first reconciliation and talking about what we can save in regards to money for the American people. This would be at the top of my list. I know that Speaker Johnson is probably going to have it at the top of his as well. And I just wanted to assure the American people that we have a very big test ahead of us, right? We want to ensure that President Trump has a clear runway as soon as he gets into office. And so that's going to be really key in bringing back money, saving it for the American people, and then also correcting the mistakes of past Congresses.
Yes, guys, I'm telling you, we're about to see some big changes in this next administration. Thank you so much, Ronald Zimmerman, for the super chat. Let's go. And Rebecca Herrera, thank you so much. Y'all show Ronald and Rebecca some love in the chat. Guys, y'all are awesome and amazing. Thank you so much for your support. Guys, it's all that y'all make this happen every single day. I'm here for you guys. But I wanted to show you this real quick. Representative Brian Mast has called for sanctuary cities to lose all federal funding when President Trump takes office. They're already submitting paperwork and bills in order to ensure this through Congress, because right now, what I'm about to show you is there is a huge resistance that is coming from blue cities. These blue cities are vowing to use even whatever they can to fight off President Trump and his mass deportation. Some of them calling it the Sanctuary Toolkit, some of them calling it the Immigrant Support Plan. Guys, they're literally putting immigrants before Americans. Check this out.
Attorney General is now creating a sanctuary toolkit, as they call it, to help residents refresh their knowledge of the state's relevant laws, specifically those related to sanctuary policies. California's Governor Gavin Newsom is also reportedly considering a, quote, immigrant support plan, he's calling it, to counter those deportations. The program would connect at-risk individuals and their families with community systems such as legal services and schools. Arizona Republican Congresswoman Debbie Lesko says this.
Why would Democrats want to, provide a sanctuary city for illegal immigrants and prioritize illegal over American citizens? I don't get it. But they've been doing this for years. I've been in the state legislature, then in Congress, and they keep prioritizing illegal immigrants over U.S. citizens.
Wow.
It's a real head scratcher. I don't get it.
So far, at least 6 blue cities so far have strengthened their sanctuary laws since Trump's election win. Incoming border czar Tom Homan has a simple warning for all those jurisdictions: get out of the way. But of course, some Democrats are digging in.
We're not going to cooperate. We're not going to ask our police force to serve as ICE agents.
I'm going to do everything that I can to protect our undocumented immigrants. They're residents of our state.
I will fight you every step of the way.
If it's contrary to our values, we will fight to the death.
Would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not. We are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear.
Texas Republican Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne, a member of the Ways and Means and Small Business Committees, joins me now. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me on.
I want to talk about this program 287 because clearly this is the wave of the future. This should be enacted in every single state. You know, mass deportations are going to be hard enough, but a lot of those that are being deported are criminals, and they are repeat criminals. So this means that if there is a criminal, an illegal immigrant that's in jail, that illegal immigrant is not going to be re-released into the public so that they can continue to commit crimes. They will be handed over to ICE, even somebody who commits a DUI. It doesn't have to be a violent crime. You commit a crime, you go to ICE, you go back to your country. What is wrong with that? Why would any Democrat want to promote allowing these illegal immigrant criminals to go back onto the streets to reoffend?
And we just saw them, too. We just saw my Democrat colleagues all vote against having people who are here who are getting stopped for things like DUI go back. We just had a vote on that recently in Congress. The question is, why? I can't answer that. I've had experience with this personally when I was mayor, when I was on the city council. I was a big supporter of 287G. We actually created a program in my city of Irving, Texas, where we worked partnership with ICE, with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. When you have your local enforcement, your law enforcement agents, your local police working with federal law enforcement agents, it's the best partnership. Democrats, you've tried it your way. You've seen what's happened. You have seen women who have been, put on fire in your subways. You have seen mobs who have taken over apartment complexes. You have seen murders. You've seen rapes. You've seen beatings of police officers. We've tried it your way. Why don't you try enforcing the law? Why don't you try working with law and federal law enforcement and protecting your citizens?
Yes.
It works. We had a lot of criticism when I did it in Irving, Texas. And the fact is, what we saw was the lowest crime rates our city has ever had.
Yeah.
We became the 5th city in the country. And far from people wanting to move, people wanted to move in. And I am all supportive of Tom Homan and working with him. I have sent out a letter to mayors in my district saying, we want to teach you more about this partnership. We want you to have the resources that you need. We're going to be having roundtables. We're probably going to invite Tom to come and see if he wants to address any of our mayors or local law enforcement to tell them how to do it better. This is what Republicans, this is what Democrats in these representative cities should be doing.
This is something that both Republicans and Democrats should be doing for the American people. This is what any New Yorker would want to see done. I mean, the crime rate in these cities are astronomical, especially since the pandemic. And a lot of these cities that are Democratic cities just continue to welcome the crime by busing in and allowing illegal immigrants to live for free in hotels. It's got to stop. Incoming border czar Tom Homan said this about the cost, not just the human toll, but the cost of the administration's border plans. Watch.
Congress needs to fund this deportation operation. They need to understand, it's going to be expensive in the beginning, but in the long run, it's going to save billions of dollars of taxpayers' money. We are talking about the biggest national security vulnerability this country has. $86 billion is a start. We need at least that to do this operation.
So $86 billion from Congress. You know, obviously, that the Democrats are going to argue against that. There's an opinion piece which argues that there should not be a price tag for border security, saying, quote, securing the border will cost money, but leaving it open will be far more expensive.
Yes.
U.S. taxpayers were on the hook for over $150 billion to support illegal aliens in 2023, according to a new report from the Department of Government Efficiency. Democrats have no leg to stand on when it comes to overspending because, I mean,
the amount of spending that goes out, guys, is extremely exponential. I wanted to show you this. So the report came out today that U.S. homelessness surges to over 170,000. That is a 18.1% increase year over year. And you just heard them say that, we're taking illegal immigrants and we're putting them into luxury hotels where it's literally costing hundreds of millions of dollars a year to house them, give them food from their own country. Not even just regular food stamps, just food that is literally sourced and comes from their own country. That's how far Democrats have gone to step over U.S. Citizens to help out illegal immigrants. And guess what? California is number one on the increase of the homelessness. Want to say thank you so much, Alex Sanchez, for the super chat. He says, when are the Repubs gonna attack back, demo-proof the U.S.? I hope that that's what they're doing with the Trump administration, because if they can limit government and they can reduce the size, reduce the spend, and remove all the regulations and put term limits, that's how they can Republican-proof it, Trump-proof it, in a way where the Democrats cannot continue doing what they're doing. Thank you so much, Alex. I'll show Alex some love in the chat, everybody, because the mass deportations that are coming, they're also being fought big time by a lot of the Democrats that are trying to urge illegals to come now before Trump gets into office. You cannot make this stuff up. Listen to this.
Have come up with a new excuse to combat Trump's coming deportations. It's the economy, stupid.
The American economy is dependent in part on the labor of undocumented immigrants. And so when we talk about mass deportation, when Trump talks about that, to actually do it would decimate the American economy.
Without those migrants, it could cause huge price surges in the food industry. It could also cause the California wine industry to collapse.
Listen, you can't let millions of illegals roam the country just to keep the cost down of a bottle of Marlowe. I mean, that's not the way we do things in this country, but it seems like the left will do and say anything to keep illegals here. Joining me now is Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Dyne and Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. You're both on border states. Appreciate you both joining us. This going to scare people, Congressman Biggs? Is this going to scare people? I mean, imagine if you or I said, oh, we need to keep them here because we need low, cheap-end labor. You and I would be labeled as racist, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, Jason, we've been actually hearing this for years, that if you deport people, they're not going to pick your vegetables. Your hamburger at McDonald's is going to be higher. You're going to have to clean your hotel room. By the way, all these people are exploiting these folks in a way, ostensibly, to keep prices down. But the reality is they're making big profits doing it. And I'll just tell you this. If this is such a great idea, then why are these sanctuary cities and states going to the federal government saying, oh, by the way, we're going to need $5 billion to bail us out, and we're going to deal with everything from education, health care, food costs, cell phones, all this stuff. Yeah, they want to scare the bejeebies out of you, but America spoke on November 5th loud and clear, and they said the number one issue is we got to close the border, and that includes that you have to remove people.
Yeah, I think it was our colleague, Jerry Nadler, that actually said, oh, well, who's going to pick the fruit or something to that effect. All right, Congresswoman, one of your colleagues across the aisle has a solution to fix the economy. Have a look at this.
I think we need a pathway for more people to be able to come into the country. We will slow economic growth if we don't have enough talented people here developing artificial intelligence and other aspects of our technology industry. And we also need workers at all skill levels for construction, for service industries.
He's also part of your Texas delegation there. What do you say to that argument?
Well, these are the same people who told us that, the inflation is transitory, our borders are secure, and Biden's at the top of his game. So I would say they've been lying continuously, and shame on Castro. As a former mayor of San Antonio, he knows better. He knows that it hurts at the local level the most, where you're seeing people who don't have access to health care, infrastructure, housing, education, because of the 20 million illegal immigrants who've entered our country illegally over the last 4 years. Shame on him. He knows better. And I'm speaking from experience. When I was mayor, when I was in city council of a large city in Texas, We actually had a great partnership with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. We worked with ICE, and when we stopped and we targeted criminal illegal immigrants who were in our city, in our country illegally, and we called ICE and they were deported, we had some of the top deportations in the country. And as a result, we got rid of thousands and thousands of illegal criminal aliens out of our street. We became one of the 5th safest cities in the country.
Yes.
And our economy flourished. People came from all around the world to move to Irving, Texas to set up businesses because they wanted to be in communities that work, that enforce the law. And as a result, I have sent out a letter to mayors in my district encouraging them to work with ICE and letting them know that we're going to be having roundtables next month to talk about the partnerships and what resources that they have available to them.
Yes.
So, Congressman Biggs, what's going to happen when they start deporting, people that are here illegally and committing crimes? Do you think it's going to get safer, or is it going to become more dangerous?
It's going to be much safer. Americans are going to feel safer, freer. They're going to be happier. And that's why they voted the way they did. I mean, good grief. You've got San Diego now voting to become a super sanctuary city. So you can, if you rape somebody, they want to just release you back into the community. How nutso is that? And, just one other point on that, Jason. There, according to the census, there's 53 million Americans between the ages of 18 to 64 that are now pulled themselves out of the workforce. We need to get those folks back in the workforce. Trump's economy will do just that.
Guys, and what we're saying, though, is, again, too, it's all about fighting against the status quo, against the Republicans. What the Democrats are trying to do is trying to just say, you know what, we're going to keep these illegals here. We want to turn them into voters. We know they're going to be Democrat voters if we can continue taking care of them, using taxpayer funds to take care of them. It literally blows my mind that these people still are in office. They're still retaining their positions. But I wanted to show you this. There is a comeback coming. Leading report shows that over 100 January 6 prisoners have signed onto a $50 billion class action lawsuit against the Department of Justice. Guys, this is crazy. And with the evidence that we have seen, we are 100% about to see some justice come to the Department of Justice for the January 6 prisoners, who a lot of them were let in by a lot of officers, and they didn't do anything. These were first-time offenders. They literally are serving 3- and 4-year sentences. But I'm glad that they are now doing this class action lawsuit, $50 billion against the DOJ. Thank you so much, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, for your support. Let's go. Said, I wanted to help these children for next month's giving. Joel, you have a big heart. That's why this channel works. I wish you and your family the best in the new year. 2025, God is in control of the outcome. January 20th, Trump was chosen. Let's go. Y'all show Judy Lynn some love in the chat. Because remember, Trump said that within the first 9 minutes of him taking office, he is going to sign pardons for the January 6 protesters that were nonviolent, didn't do anything, that were just walking through, that are facing these long-term prison sentences. Check this out.
President-elect Trump has big plans for day one of his new administration. He's promised to get a lot of things done next year, and among them are closing our southern border, deporting illegal migrants, and EV mandates, and increasing energy production. It's a lot to do, but which of these will he do on day one? We have a few guesses. Here's Trump on his plans for next year.
On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign a historic slate of executive orders to close our border to illegal aliens and stop the invasion of our country.
Yes. Close
and
the
on
border
that same day, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history. I will sign day one orders to end all Biden restrictions on energy production, terminate his insane electric vehicle mandate, cancel his natural gas export ban. And together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again.
Yes.
We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
So big plans for day one and for his entire term. But I want to start with this, Tommy. I spoke with Tom Homan last week, and there was this NBC report that was floating around about Trump preparing 5 executive orders on illegal immigration, which would be significant. That would be more than all executive orders he did on day one last term. So I asked Tom Homan, is it going to be 5? And here's what he said.
And more than 5, more than 3, there's going to be many. We can't have strong national security if we don't have border security. So there's going to be some executive orders signed on day one. At the same time he's signing those executive orders, we got ICE officers across the country going to start, they're going to be hitting the streets looking for criminal illegal aliens. At the same time, we'll be putting ending catch release day one. At the same day, we're also going to be looking for over 340,000 missing children.
They're ready to go, Tommy.
They're ready to go because they have to be, Kaylee. I mean, this is the mandate from the American people. I do believe that Donald Trump won in the economy, but I think he also won on the border and restoring border security and national security. And I think they've got a lot of work to do because the last 4 years, the floodgates have been opened. You can't allow 10 million plus people, largely unvetted, into a country and then expect Donald Trump to sit on his thumbs in his first days in office. He's got a lot of work to do, and it's going to take much of the next 4 years for him to get that done because the damage has been so severe to this country with the open borders. Tom Homan is ready to go. And, you know, I know Tom Homan well, as do most of us on the show. And Tom Homan is not doing this because he wants a promotion. He's not doing this because he wanted to come out of retirement. He's doing this because he truly loves his country and he has the skill set to be able to get this done. And it's going to be an ambitious endeavor for sure. It's going to require a lot of work. It's going to require a little bit of money, but the ambition is there and it's all for the American people. That's what I love about Donald Trump and his executive orders. Everything he's doing, it's not for him. It's not for the rest of the world. It's for the American people. And that's what we elected him to do. Most people are so excited for January 20th. It really will be like the second coming of Christmas.
Yeah, a lot of people making that comparison. Paul, you know, I saw this. I wanted to go back to Biden's first day, and I saw this Wall Street Journal headline. It says, Biden signs executive orders on face mask mandate, Keystone Pipeline, and Paris Accord. I don't think we're going to have a face mask mandate on day one, but it says Mr. Biden signed 15 EOs, 2 executive actions on his first day in office, far more than any of his modern predecessors, none of whom signed more than 1. If I'm a betting woman here, I'm thinking Donald Trump wants to break the 15 record, and we may see way more than that.
Yeah, so we all recall that spate of executive orders, many of which felt very spiteful, particularly the things on the border. And just to double tap what Tammy was talking about, I think where this is going to be most visible day one to the American public is going to be on the border stuff. And that's not to say that the other measures are not going to be important, but ICE is ready to go. I mean, those marching orders have already sort of filtered down, and they know what they're going to be asked to do. You're going to see the border have much more friction, okay? It's not going to be completely closed, but they're going to do a lot that hasn't been done. The other place you're going to see it is at the local level as Tom Homan sends ICE out and the Director of Homeland Security send ICE out to try to find the bad guys. It's really that simple. Finding them is where the challenge is, particularly in sanctuary cities. So if you take New York, which is a sanctuary city, well, if they go into the system, they're arrested, they're an illegal. Let's take the guy that lit this poor woman on fire in the subway recently here in New York City, all right? An illegal alien committed this kind of a crime. That's very public. We know he's there, but very often you don't know that. How are you going to find them? Especially in a sanctuary city that has said, we're not going to notify you. So ICE is going to have to come up with mechanisms, and a lot of them are going to be very legalistic, things like subpoenas and writs of habeas corpus, et cetera. They're going to have to go in, pull these guys out of jail, get them out of the country, rather than have us be responsible for their care and feeding for a 10 to 20 life, whatever it is, in jail. We don't want to deal with that. We want to get them out. That's the challenge, and that's what Homan faces.
And that's a big one.
Guys, and I'm telling you this, it's what I love is it's a day one agenda. This is not waiting in the first month, the second month or whatnot. This is a day one agenda. Right now, what you're looking at is the deficit and surplus since the 1940s. This is from whitehouse.gov. And what you're seeing is that for the most of the, in the past since 1940, we've just been in the red. This is where the $36 trillion of debt has come from. A lot from the 1970s to the early 1990s. Then we actually had a surplus. But then a huge, massive, and it all started in 2008, 2009, 2010, bailing out all these big banks, bailing out so many of these big companies. Instead of allowing capitalism to take place, we bailed them out. And then that's whenever there was such a taking advantage of the American tax dollars, and all these corporations and all these rich people, all these rich CEOs got bailed out. And who got screwed? It was the American people. That's why I'm super glad over not only Doge, but how Elon Musk is just jumping into everything, because he's fighting for the transparency for the American people. Check this out.
Let's jump straight to our panel. Scott Jennings, I don't want to go into a deep dive of Saved by the Bell with you. I have no doubt you have an encyclopedic knowledge of it. It just seems like something you would have an encyclopedic knowledge of. But I think the bigger picture here, because on the policy, this is a huge issue that has long existed in terms of a division between certain parts of the Republican Party. And then also in the coalition, the political coalition. The president-elect won the popular vote in large part because he was able to put together these two very key components of the coalition. How long-standing and potentially harmful do you think this fight could get?
Let me just start with Kelly Kapowski, if you're listening. Hi. Number two, look, there's always been a push and pull on this in the Republican Party, and I think there's a way to work this out and solve it. I mean, I think what a lot of people would say is, and Elon Musk was making this point, if you take like the top 1% or the top 0.1% of the most talented engineering people from other countries, that's perfectly fine. H-1B visas for that. They're unique. They have unique talent, unique innovative skills, fine. If you're using the H-1B program to abuse it, to recruit, interns, accountants, other people that easily could be recruited from the United States of America, all because you just want to do it cheaper, that's not fine. So I think what a lot of people in the party want to do is eliminate the fraud in this H-1B program, retain the top engineering talent, and there's a way to do this. What Ramaswamy did yesterday was not a great communications exercise, and it did anger a lot of people in the president's coalition, and I think rightfully so.
Guys, I appreciate A, you pulling that off, B, you putting up with Scott's Kelly Kapowski commentary.
Guys, don't, and this is what I love too, guys. When you hear these people, I love that sometimes they don't agree with everything that even Elon Musk or Vivek are doing. But what I love is they're bringing out the facts. And that's what we bring out on this channel is 100%, no matter what. Even when it comes to things that are on CNN, if they're bringing the facts, we align with that. Thank you so much, Judy Lynn, for gifting 5 TrueLife News memberships. Let's go. Whoever got a membership, y'all show Judy Lynn some love in the chat, everybody. Because I'm telling you this. Even with the mass deportations, you may not agree with it, but if you look at the facts, putting American people first, the safety first, matters. Listen to this.
One of the things I've heard him give a lot of interviews, and I know he understands the problem that they want to solve, but he doesn't seem to have a sense of the scope of what it's going to take, what it's going to cost. And that's a critical question.
I actually had a meeting with Tom Homan the other day, along with a number of my colleagues, and we talked about this very issue. Look, it's already costing states like New York billions of dollars of taxpayer money to provide free housing, clothing, food, education, and health care to illegal immigrants. Yep. Then you have the situation where you have criminal aliens committing violent crimes, just as we saw a woman being burned alive on a subway by a man who was previously deported and then came back into the United States illegally. The fact is that what Tom Homan is going to do is start the process of deporting criminal aliens out of the United States. And sanctuary states and cities like New York need to cooperate. This idea that you're going to violate federal immigration law, that you're going to use taxpayer money to provide all of these free things. By the way, while Kathy Hochul in New York is charging New Yorkers $2,500 just for the privilege of driving to work in Midtown Manhattan. it's a joke. This is the stuff that needs to stop. So yes, there is a price tag. Yes, it's going to cost money. But the reality is we cannot continue to have this massive influx of illegal immigrants coming into the country. Since Joe Biden took office, over 10.5 million people. That's unsustainable, and it's costing us billions of dollars.
100.
One of the things I've heard about, give a lot of interviews, and I know he understands
oh my goodness.
the problem that they...
Sorry, guys, computer's lagging. It costs Americans $153 billion in the year 2023 for the illegal immigrants. And when you look at them saying that the price tag is going to be $83 billion to get them all out, I think that's a pretty fair trade. And what sucks is that it's cost us hundreds of billions of dollars from this Biden administration, and now we're trying to clean it up, and now they're trying to fight against it. No matter where we're at, there's always this fight of the Republicans, the Democrats. But I'll tell you this. I feel like there's an awakening happening right now with the American people, that they're tired of Republicans and Democrats, and they just want American first. They just want to see a priority of pushing America first. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, why not? Hit that subscribe button. We're here to serve you Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel and grow these videos. We appreciate your support so much. And thank you to all of our members of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join the True Life News fam. We take the members' fees in the super chats, and we make big donations to charities once a month live on the channel. You can go look through our videos in the Giving Back playlist and see that we do it live, because I truly believe that we got to give back, and that I want this channel to represent more than just reporting the news, but to bring a positive change forward. I want to give a shout out to Ronald Zimmerman, Rebecca Herrera, Alex Sanchez, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit. Y'all showed them some love in the chat. Guys, we couldn't do that without you. We are here to serve you, and I'm so looking to this new year. It's going to be amazing. We're going to grow the True Life News family. We're going to get closer to that 1 million subscribers, and it's all because of you. And if you don't hear it from any other YouTuber out there, I'm here to serve you. And I'm going to do that every single day. Love you all. Appreciate you so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.